Hello adventurers, and welcome back to another Black Desert mobile video. I know that it's been a really long time since I post. I've been having some internet issues, but that's all been figured out. So this one's gonna be a pretty important video. I know that a lot of people have been looking forward to it, so this one's gonna be the all materials guide. So it's gonna be going over all of the essential materials that you'll need in Black Desert mobile. So just right off the bat, there's a lot of different ways to be getting these items, so I'll really try not to miss anything, but if I do, please forgive me. But also just kind of leave a comment in the comment section below. Just let me know, and then I'll pin a comment for everything that I missed. For the most part, there's really not going to be any particular way that I'm going over these items. So I kind of went back and forth a few times how I actually wanted to make this video. Did I want to cover the items themselves, or did I want to cover the activities where you could get each of these items? I'm just going to be covering each of these items. So what I'll be doing is I'll be leaving timestamps in the description below. So if you have a particular material that you're looking for, or a particular item that you're looking for, I would recommend just checking that out. But before I get into all of these items, I did want to say that there are a few different activities that you can be doing to get some of these items. They're really, really good. However, they're mostly one-time use things. So I'll kind of just cover that right now here in the beginning and just kind of let you know, make sure that you're doing this. This mostly applies to newer players. If you're an older player like me, I've already collected these items, so I can't even see them. But if you're a new player, it's a fresh account, anything like that, make sure that you're doing these activities. And those are mostly going to be Path of Power, events for new players, and then stories. So I'm going to be putting on the screen Path of Power. It should just be something for my alt account, but there's under the character tab, the Hadum tab, and the enhancements tab, you can get some really, really good items from there. So make sure that you do all of the little quests that you need to do to progress in Path of Power, so that way you're actually collecting those items. The other thing is going to be there's in events for newer players. If you look here on my main account, I can't actually see all of the events that newer players get, but there's something for doing boss rushes, doing constellation, leveling up, progressing through the story. You're going to want to make sure that you do those because they give a lot of really good freebies, and those are also going to help you. So some of the major things are going to be chaos cores, which chaos crystals in general are really, really good for your progression. But then the last thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly was stories. So there are a lot of different stories. The ones that I highly encourage finishing are going to be the ones under the essential tab, because there's a lot of really good resources in here as well. So as you can see, there's Abyssal crystals, lapis lazuli, some cronstones. These are going to be pretty good all around for your resources that you'll need. So it has a little bit of everything, and then what I would do is just kind of go through each one of these quests. There are different requirements for each of these quests, so really the first thing that I'm gonna say is make sure that you finish your seasonal character. Your seasonal character will get your character to a really good spot. It's gonna be roughly 25,000 CP once you've finished and you've equipped all of that equipment. So this guide is really gonna be for the people who have already finished their seasonal character. But yeah, again, make sure that you do all of the essential quests. You're not, like I said, you're not going to be able to get all of them right away, but once you finish your seasonal character, just keep working on your main storyline, and then you'll unlock more of them. And then the other ones I would say is make sure that you do these normal quests as well. Some of these have really, really good stuff in here. I would mostly say it's these first 4 or 5 that are pretty good, but you do need to get to certain regions before you can unlock them. And then one last thing I wanted to talk about was the outfits. So these quests in the outfit line are also pretty good. You can get some different chaos jewels, which is really good, but also you're going to get a lot of skein from doing these. So these artisan skein are really good for working on your outfit. I'm not actually going to be covering this particular item, so I just wanted to say this. The quests are really good for skein, but then also just do your bounty missions and select the quests that have skein. That's probably going to be the best way. But other than that, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover before we jumped right into it. So with that being said, let's get started. So something that I wanted to show you really quickly was I'm going off of this spreadsheet right here. I pretty much made like a list of all the materials that I figured were pretty important, and I just kind of went from there. So what are the uses for them? How can you obtain them? And then like, how do you like craft them using some of these other resources? If one of the resources requires another one to make it, I'll cover them like right after each other. So they should pretty much just go hand in hand. But what I'll be doing is I'm going to go ahead and leave this list in the description of the video. So if you want access to it, you can go ahead and get it there. And then all you'll do is go to file and then make a copy. And then you can make all your edits on your copy. This one's not going to be editable to anyone who tries to access it. So I just wanted to give you that heads up. So with that being said, our first item is actually going to be Vials of Light. So looking over here, we have Vials of Light. So these are really, really good because you're going to need them whenever you're killing monsters in Hadum and Chaos zones. So something that they're also used for is you can craft primal Lightstones. So if you were to go over to your Lightstones, assuming you have some, you can always go over here and then go to craft primal Lightstones. These are going to be really good because these are the best Lightstones that you can have, and you're going to have to do like multiple attempts for it. But these Vials of Light, again, are really, really good just because this is what's going to really enable you to farm in different regions. So if you're killing these monsters, you'll be using Vials of Light, but then also it enables you to get these different resources. If you're at a lower tier like map or anything like that, you won't get the same stuff. I think that I'm pretty much forced to use Vials of Light, but I could be wrong on that. But something pretty cool about Vials was there was a recent update where the tier 1 is completely free. You don't have to use any Vials of Light. So the main thing that you're getting from them is you're getting bonus combat experience, and then you're also getting bonus knowledge from it. So if you're on a new character, or if you just made another character and you're trying to level it up, what I always do is I go to tier 3 and I kill monsters there. This is not going to increase your drop rate for items or anything like that, so just kind of keep that in mind. This is only if like you're in a new region and you're really trying to get some knowledge pretty quickly. So as you can see, most of my knowledge is already filled out. So here in Northeast, Strigan, everything's already filled out. But for the newer ones, like you can't really do dispatch here, so you'll have to farm the knowledge yourself. So what I do is for any new region, I just go tier 3, I collect all this knowledge, and then I kind of move on. So moving into how you can actually get these Vials of Light. So one of the first ways is you can always just craft your Lightstones into Vials of Light. So if you have some Lightstones that you don't need, you'll just select them and then you'll get some Vials of Light in return. So another way that you can actually get them, and this is like a pretty decent way in my opinion, you should be doing this every week anyways, is going to Expedition and then doing Pirate Island. So every time that you do one of these, you'll get a pretty decent amount of Vials of Light. So make sure that you're doing that, and then you also get some other resources. This is also pretty good for silver anyways, but this kind of moves on into how can you actually get some Lightstones so you can make these Vials of Light. I just kind of wanted to talk about Lightstones. The main thing that I actually use are these Lightstone chests. So these right here, I get a lot of them just from farming, and I'll kind of touch on that here in a little bit actually. So just again, really quickly, Lightstones, you can craft them into Vials of Light, but you can also make the primal Lightstones with them. Doing that, it's going to give you a huge CP bonus. It also gives you like some other special bonuses like for your Black Spirit skill and all this other stuff. So I'll just kind of show you that right now. So again, you'll want to make sure you have primal. And then whenever you are equipping your Lightstones, these are the bonuses that you're getting. So I'm pretty sure that you get a full set of primal anyways just from doing your seasonal character. But if you want to try to get like this enhancement level up, you're going to have to be enhancing multiple of these. So like I could make one of these into a primal and then try to beat the one that I currently have equipped. But that's pretty much it for like these Lightstones in a nutshell. The other things that I did want to talk about was Lightstone Fragments. So I'm going to go over how to get Lightstones and then like the chests that I got, but then also Lightstone fragments. I'm just going to do it all in one go. But before I do that, I wanted to talk about these fragments. So for these fragments, what you can do is you can craft these into Lightstones as well. So going down here, you'll go to obtain Lightstone. And then I always do special shop because you have a higher chance of getting like a red, and I offer all of my other ones anyways. Since I already have like pretty decent Lightstones, I just offer all of these, and then I just try to keep my Abyssal. So if it's a perfect statted Abyssal Lightstone, I can go ahead and maybe use it to craft like a primal Lightstone. But if you do it like this, like you just auto craft Holy Vials of Light, this is going to give you a whole lot of Holy Vials of Light as well. So I probably should have said that when I was talking about Holy Vials of Light, but we're just getting started. So let's go ahead and we'll do save settings, and then all you'll do is select autofill, and you'll get a whole lot of Vials of Light. So for each round I get like 250 plus, and then for all of these other ones that I have that are just have like additional stats that I don't need, what I normally do is I'll just go through here and I just offer them up, so I get even more Vials of Light. So that's pretty much the first way that you can do this. What I wanted to talk about was some good ways that you can actually get each of these resources. So for Lightstone fragments, you can actually get these a lot of different ways. My favorite way though, just for like farming or doing some things, is what I normally do is I'll go to the Great Desert and I'll farm monsters here. Whenever you're farming them, you can go to like these little altars, the Blackrock altars. Those are the ones that glow after you've killed a mob. You can offer to that altar, and then as a reward, you can get some of these Lightstone fragments. So that's a really, really good way. But then some other ways that you can get them is from Genoviva's shop. What I should be doing is putting up an image, but what I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and path over there and I'll show you some of the items you can get. So here at Genoviva's shop, she spawns kind of randomly, but I know that they increase the amount of times that she spawns and like the frequency. The only thing that you'll really need to buy things from her is to have these Hadum tokens and then some silver. You're gonna need pretty much like 1 billion silver for everything that you buy from her. So like you can get these the little boss fragments, which I'll cover here in a little bit. But what I'm looking for are gonna be these Lightstone fragments. So this is actually what I was looking for. So these pouches right here, you can get a pretty good amount of Lightstone fragments from it. It's 2,000 to 50,000, but you'll only get one of the following items at random. So it's between all of these, which again, I'll be coming back to this particular item constantly in this video. So just kind of keep that in mind, but that's another good way to get Lightstone fragments. And then another way that I like to get some Lightstone fragments is actually just by doing boss rushes. So if you go to boss rush, and we'll just stay in the normal boss rush for right now, whenever you do these, you'll be getting Lightstone fragments. So it really doesn't seem like a lot, but it really adds up. Like the more rushes that you do, the more Lightstone fragments that you'll get. Like if I were to complete all of these, I'd probably get a pretty decent number of them. But these Hadum boss rushes will give you even more. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're ever running low on like Vials of Light, or you need to like craft some Lightstones, this is a pretty solid way to get them. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was getting some more actual Lightstones. So if you go over to ranked, you can go to ranked arena, and every time that you get a victory, you'll get these weekly victory rewards. So what I would do is like do at least 3 a week, and then until you're done with your placements, and then like you're gonna want to be doing this just for Black Pearls anyways. But if you go into these weekly victory rewards, you'll be getting max stat Abyssal Lightstone chests. These are guaranteed to get plus 15, plus 15, plus 15. So that could be attack, defense, but those are really good. You're gonna want those because that's pretty much the best and most guaranteed way to be getting a good primal Lightstone for your character. So something else I wanted to discuss was if you go to dispatch and you go to merchantry dispatch, you can dispatch your characters, and then you'll also be able to get some Lightstone fragments. So again, this kind of goes back into like I'm not covering one particular one. I'm trying to cover all of these just all at once. So this will be a pretty good way to get more Lightstone fragments, or what you can do is just do merchantry like the normal way. I normally do this a few times a week just because I'm a little bit lazy to do traditional merchantry, but just keep that in mind. That's another way that you can get them. And then also another way that you can get some Lightstone chests is by doing Expedition and then going to Ruins. So for Ancient Ruins, you can actually get Lightstone fragments from each one of these different difficulties. I actually really like Ancient Ruins, like the first difficulty, just because you can get the Baby Kabua chests pretty easily, which are good for upgrading your pets. And then for First Prophet and Eternal Prophet, I actually prefer First Prophet just because you get a lot more Lightstone fragments for the amount of resources that you're spending to actually get in. However, Chaos is definitely the best because you can get these dimensional fragments, but all of these ways you can get these Lightstone fragments, so just keep that in mind. But the next thing that I actually think is probably the best way to get Lightstone chests is just by farming monsters in different areas. So again, whenever I'm talking about farming, I'm talking about just like killing monsters. The places that I'll mostly be looking at is going to be East Valencia and onward. So the reason I say that is, again, this is mostly going to be for people who have completed their seasonal character. And then once you've completed your seasonal character, you'll be in this area anyways. Whenever I'm talking about killing these monsters, every time you kill them and you're farming them, you'll get these different chests. So these chests will give you some pretty good stuff. It's kind of weird. These chests, their drops change. So like in East, I'll just show you in Northeast Camisilv. So if I were to go here, and it shows me, okay, these are my drops: Chaos Core, Advanced XP Scroll, Shadow Knot. But then this one doesn't show me anything. But all the drops that are in that second chest that I just showed you are actually all the drops that are in the Dregan chest. So if I were to click this one, you can actually get these items as well. I'm not really sure why they changed the drops for like what's in each one of these chests, but just know that whenever you farm in Camisilvia, honestly, I think it's even West Valencia onward, you can get these Lightstone chests as well. So what I wanted to show was, let's just take a look at how many I get. So I've kind of been saving some of these, and I'll just show you the bulk of all of them. So I'll just do 10,000, so we get like a good base number, and then I'll do 10,000 of the other ones. These chests are different from the other ones I just showed you, just because like it's a higher difficulty that I've been doing, so the drop rate is a little bit different, but the drops are pretty much the exact same. So let's just open these. So 10,000, there's no Lightstones that you can get from this chest, but this gave me a lot of everything else. So I'm gonna pretty much just save this, and I'll pull this up another time. Like for each one of these items, whenever I discuss them, I'll kind of go back to this. I'll point back at it. But then let's open the other one, and this one should be the one that gives us the Lightstones. So we opened this and we ended up getting 90 Abyssal Lightstone chests, so that's pretty good. As you can see, I also get Ancient Tablets, Boss Stamps, Adventure Tokens. Like these two chests are really, really good. So make sure that you're farming monsters whenever you have like off time, or whenever you're pretty much like not doing anything else. Like this adds up to, I'm getting more Vials of Light. So one more thing that I forgot to mention, I'm actually adding this after, or rather while I'm editing, was that you can also get some Lightstone fragment chests by using these sealed treasures. So as you can see on screen, all you have to do is go to an appraiser, and then once you appraise, you'll get all of these rewards. But at the top left, you'll be able to get these Lightstone fragment chests, and for each one of these chests, you'll get 50 Lightstone fragments. So it's not a lot, but again, it definitely does add up. And then a good way that you can get these sealed treasure chests is from doing merchantry. So you can either do it the traditional way, or you can do the dispatch as I had shown earlier. So that's pretty much it for Vials of Light. What I wanted to do was go ahead and move on to the next thing, which was going to be Chaos Crystals. So just to kind of show you which ones they are, which I'm pretty sure you already know what they are, but let's go ahead and show them anyways. these chaos crystals right here. Actually, before I get into that, I wanted to say you can always look at all of these items and check the acquisition list. The reason I'm making this is because not all of these acquisition ways or methods are listed in here. So some of these things I'll be talking about, they're not actually on this list. But if you're ever like in doubt, or like if you're not really sure, you don't want to like pull up this video, this is a pretty good way. Some of these items you can always just pull up this list, and then it lists pretty decent ways. So this one's probably the most accurate. It has like most of all of these things that I'll be talking about, but I just wanted to say that. But chaos crystals are really, really good because what you use them for is to enhance your rift stone. So if I were to go over to my rift stone, which I'm gonna go ahead and pull some of these out so I can show you, you're gonna be needing these to increase the success rate. At higher levels, you'll need a lot more of these crystals. So like for my level, I'll probably need like roughly 10,000 in total. I'm already at like 33%, but normally I just kind of use all of them to get to 100%, just because I hate failing on this, especially if I put like 92%. It feels really, really bad. But this is pretty much all that they're used for, is just enhancing this rift stone. But this rift stone is going to give you a lot of CP. Every time that you enhance it, you'll get 10 CP. That definitely adds up. So I think my level's at like 351. So I have 3,510 CP just from my rift stone. But the ways to actually get it is, again, going back to Genevieve's shop. I'll be putting an image on here on the screen. Genevieve's shop, she sells you an item. I think it's called Hadoom's Mist, which sells for 900 million, and it sells in groups of 10. So you can get a pretty good amount from this as well. I think that it might not be guaranteed. It might have other items that you have to compete with, but just be aware that Genevieve's shop, most of these items, if you can go to it whenever she spawns and you have a lot of Hadoom tokens and silver, make sure that you're doing that. This is going to be really good for your for getting any of these materials, and any of these materials are good for your CP progression. The next thing that I wanted to show you was that another good way to get these is from Blackrock shrines. So you can either do it after you've defeated the world boss Layton, and I'm talking about on Mondays when Layton spawns, defeat him and then offer to that shrine. You'll get a lot of chaos crystals from him, or anytime there's just a Blackrock shrine that's been spawned out in the world, you're gonna get a lot from there as well. I think it might only be specific shrines. There was an update recently, but I think most of them give you these. There's like a specific shrine that I try to go for, but I'm gonna be putting that on screen as well, just kind of showing you like this is the drop, and these were recently updated where you use a lot more coins, but the rewards were increased by I think like 1.1 what it used to be. So you're getting slightly better rewards. You're using less water because you're it takes a lot of coins, so you're not going to be standing there for super long. But yeah, Blackrock shrines are always really good for a lot of these resources, especially the chaos crystals. So another good way to be getting these chaos crystals is by doing Black Sun. So if you come in here, go to your reward system. Whenever you get this score, so after you've completed Black Sun, the next day you'll be getting this. You can just come back and get your reward. Depending on how many points you get, you'll get more of these Grails of Gloom. But within each one of these Grails of Gloom, you can get Chaos Crystals, Root of Sorcery, and some other stuff. The main things are going to be the Fortune Scroll and the Chaos Crystals, as well as the Root of Sorcery. But this is a pretty good way to get Chaos Crystals. And then also, whenever you go to the ranked rewards, your individual rank, depending on how well you do, you'll get some of these chaos crystals as well. And then also your guild rank will give you some more. So make sure that you're in a guild and make sure they're kind of active, because their performance is going to be affecting your rewards. And then vice versa, your performance is going to help affect their rewards as well. So what I normally try to do is just kind of get in like the top 30% for everything, and then that's like a pretty decent amount of chaos crystals. Just make sure that you're doing that. Again, it doesn't seem like a lot, especially because it cost me 10,000 just to upgrade, but doing all of these things, it definitely does add up, especially like at least once a week I can upgrade one level, so that's always nice. So another way that you can be getting these chaos crystals is by going to Wandering Merchant Marco. Once a week he'll spawn there. He's going to be there for 2 days, and then like there's going to be a list of rewards that you can purchase with Adana's coins. You can just directly buy the chaos crystals from him instead of offering your coins to the shrine. I would do maybe both. I don't always buy all of his items, but I know he has pretty decent items. And then if you're ever wondering like where he's at, I would just recommend go to the Black Desert Mobile Discord and then ask people, or ask the server chat. So that's always really good. And then again, on screen should be a list of like some of his rewards that he normally has. So I did want to go back to the Grail of Glooms really quickly. I know that I have some here, so I wanted to just open them up to kind of show you what you can get. So I just have 90 Grails here, and we ended up getting 420 chaos crystals, some roots, and then some other stuff. So this is pretty decent. Just kind of keep that in mind. But then also going back to Genevieva's shop, you can also get Grail of Glooms from her as well. So I think I said that earlier, but let's go ahead and open that. I got 230 from her, and then you end up with not so many of these as the other one, but again, something's better than nothing. And then these fortune scrolls are really going to help you whenever you're farming, so just kind of keep that in mind. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was going to be Everfrost monsters. So if you go over here, and if you're farming in Everfrost, which you should be anyways, because this is really good for getting eternal accessories, but you can also get these drops from them as well. There's a bunch of other drops that are really important, but again, I'll go over that here in a little bit. And then also, because I'm talking about farming, anytime you're farming out in the world, or you're doing field hunting, you'll also be getting these as a drop. So if you're not in Hadum, I think you get them, but then also if you are in Hadum, you still get them. So just keep that in mind, that every time that you're farming, you can farm these chaos crystals. It's not going to be a lot, but it definitely does add up over time. So again, make sure that you're doing that. So going back to Everfrost, there was something I wanted to show, and that was going to be for Ilton Defense. Whenever you do Ilton Defense, you'll also be able to get these chaos crystals. So again, there's a lot of different activities that you can be doing. You'll be getting a lot of different resources from them. What I would really recommend is try to figure out like all of these activities and make sure that you're sticking to them. So Ilton Defense will give you a pretty good amount of these chaos crystals. Depending on your performance, you'll get more of them. That's my understanding of it. But since I was talking about the activities, if you ever want to know like when are these things going on, there's a schedule down here at the bottom left. You can just click that. And then what I do is, in my phone, I just created alerts for this, like, hey, on Monday at 1800 Black Sun starting, or 1900 Node War, 2-car Leighton, or you can just kind of remember all of these activities off the top of your head, which I've been playing long enough, I pretty much know when everything's going to be going on. But this is a good thing to follow if you're ever like curious or confused. Check out the content timetable. This could be helpful to you. The next thing for chaos crystals is going to be Tower of Trials. So if you go to Dispatch and then you go to Tower of Trials, you'll be able to get a small amount of chaos crystals from this, but again, it does add up. All of these other resources that you're getting from here as well are pretty decent. So the two that you should be doing are going to be Chaos and then Hadum. Both of them will give you some chaos crystals, which again, it's a very small amount, but you should be doing this every day anyways, just for your daily tasks. So make sure that you do that. Another good way to be getting these chaos crystals is by doing Trials of a Tour. So if you go to Trials of a Tour Ancient, there's some first time clear rewards that you can get, and it's going to be a bunch of chaos crystals. So whenever you do this, make sure that you're like clearing as high as you possibly can. And I don't think it's a repeat reward for these, so just keep that in mind. It's only the first time clear whenever you clear this, but it is a pretty decent amount of them. And then also in Elite, I don't think you get any Chaos Crystals here, but every time that you clear one of these levels, you'll get a clear reward. So every time that you clear a level, you'll get 500 Chaos Crystals. This is actually a really good amount. So if you clear to level 10, you'll end up getting 5,000 Chaos Crystals, which is really good. And then multiply 10 by everything else. This is a great way to get these rewards. I don't think that Elite was a requirement for your seasonal character. These are really challenging. So I would recommend like look up a YouTube guide for these and try to do that. I know that I can get up to 20. I'm a little bit lazy. I haven't done it yet. So make sure that you do that. And I'll probably go back and do this once we're done. So another way to get Chaos Crystals is right here, going into Twisted Nightmare. Depending on like your performance, you'll be getting more of them. I don't actually remember how the drop system works for this, but just know that this is another good way to be getting Chaos Crystals is do your Twisted Nightmare. So I think that's pretty much it for the Chaos Crystals. If I missed anything, I'll try to go back and I'll just edit it back in here. But that's all that I wanted to show for that one. So let's go ahead and keep moving on. So I know that on my list I had listed Grail of Gloom, but I feel like I already talked about them, so I'm going to skip that. And what we'll talk about next is going to be boss stamps. So for actually using your boss stamps, the only way that you can use them, again, just to my knowledge, is by doing boss rushes. You can either do Elyon boss rushes or you can do Hadum boss rushes. Elyon, for each one of the entry, it only costs you 3 stamps, but for doing Hadum, which I highly recommend, this is definitely the best one to be doing, is Hadum. It'll cost you 100 per run. So I think in total I have 12,000 runs right here if I were to like try to purchase all of them, but I don't have enough shadow knots for that anyways. So typically the way you'll see it is you'll have a lot less shadow knots than boss stamps. If you're a newer player, you can always go and buy some shadow knots here in the Pearl shop, but again, I'll talk about that here in a second. So as I showed you before, a pretty good way of getting boss stamps was by opening these chests right here, doing the Chemisylvia advanced loot or any of the advanced loot for any of the other regions. This will give you a pretty good amount of boss stamps, so if you're ever in need of them, just farm monsters. But also some pretty good ways is, again, going back to Blackrock Shrine. So you can get some boss stamps from these shrines, and especially with these increased rewards, you can get a whole lot of stamps really quickly. So if you need them, do that as well. Something else that you can do though, which this is pretty minor, he doesn't give you a lot, but if you go to Patrigio, and once you're at Patrigio, just open his shop, go to special secret shop, and then you can purchase these. So you can get like different rewards. So Caphras dust, ancient tablets, which I'll be talking about next. And what I'm looking for are these boss stamps. So you can get these boss stamp chests. It's only 300 boss stamps, but again, 300 is better than nothing. And honestly, 21 million silver is basically nothing, so I always purchase them. The only things that I don't purchase are like the equipment because they're super expensive. Another way you can get them, and I keep harping on the same things, but again, this is why I kept going back and forth how I wanted to do this, but Genevieve's shop, she will have a she'll have a package. It's called Black Spirits Energy, and it's either times 1,900 or 800, and it sells for 800 million silver, and it's a 10-pack. You're not guaranteed to get these boss stamps, but it is a really, really good way to get boss stamps, and anything else that's in that pack is a really good resource. So again, I'll be putting that on screen just so you can see, but man, it's awesome to have. Again, you can just get them from Genevieve's shop if you are lucky enough to get them. But again, that pack right there is really, really good. And then another way that you can get them is just by doing merchantry. So if you were to get like some shiny looted goods or the other ones that you can get like a very small amount from here as well. So just because I'm talking about merchantry, I did want to say one other thing that you can do from merchantry. Just by doing it, or even by doing the merchantry dispatch, you can get these sealed treasures. And what you'll do is you'll pretty much just take them out, and you will go to an appraiser. So do appraise, and then you'll open up all of these, and you'll get a pretty good amount of stuff from it. So as you can see, I just got 4,000 black pearls. I think I had 1,200 chests or so. You get some of these Hadum entry passes for Tower of Trials, which is always nice. You get the Elion ones as well, but then also you're gonna get these chests right here. These are really good. So I actually forgot to talk about this for the Lightstones, but here I am talking about it now. So you can get some Lightstone fragments here, and then also Alchemy stones. The one I'm looking for, I'm not finding, is right here, the boss stamp chest. Again, it's not the most, especially considering how many I got. I actually got a whole lot more black pearls than anything else, but something's better than nothing. And then also you can get these ancient tablets. These are the same chests that Patrigio sells you. So if you're buying those, you're definitely going to be wanting these as well. And then again, just to get these, you can just go to Dispatch, Merchantry, and you'll be getting these chests whenever you complete the dispatch. I think it takes 8 hours, or you can just do normal merchantry in your camp, and you'll end up getting a whole lot more of these sealed treasures. I know that I do, so again, just kind of keep that in mind. But then also these other loot chests right here are going to give you pretty much the same stuff. Ancient tablets, boss stamps. These won't give you black pearls. It's only going to be these orange ones that do. So again, merchantry is really good. And since we had talked about Tower of Trial passes, you can also get some boss stamps just by doing Tower of Trials. So if you go to Dispatch, Tower of Trials, I think the only one that it gives you boss stamps is going to be Hadum, but let me double check. Nope, the only one that gives you boss stamps is gonna be Elion. So Elion's the most basic one. It's super simple, super easy. After you finish your seasonal character, you'll be able to like clear up to floor 60 for this really easily. Again, it's not a whole lot of boss stamps, but you should be doing this anyways, and this will give you some. The next and the last way that you can do this is by going to the arena. There's two things that you can do in the arena. The first one's going to be Raminus. Not a lot of people play this. It's actually really hard to find lobbies, but the rewards are pretty decent. So while you're defeating, while you're playing Raminus, you'll be getting these points. And what you're looking for are these weekly reward bonus chests. So there's 5 of them. So the first 4 are going to have these. It's going to be some boss stamps, some ancient tablets, and then some other stuff in here as well. So like magical essence, Caphras dust, those are pretty good. But then also for the last one, you'll be getting again boss stamps, ancient tablets, but this one's a little bit more. So this one's really nice as well. So that's the first way in arena that you can get it. The other way is by doing your ranked arena. And then I already showed you this chest, but again, if you go into here, you'll be getting some boss stamps, ancient tablets. So again, make sure that you're doing your ranked arena. You're gonna want to do that every week. And then Raminus, if you can do 5 matches, do 5 matches as well. So moving on, we're gonna be talking about ancient tablets. I know that I pretty much just covered like boss stamps. Ancient tablets, you get pretty much the exact same way. So the Black Spirit Energy loot, or rather the Black Spirit Energy little bag thing from Genevieva's shop, you can get 1,500, 1,300, or 1,100 for the ancient tablets, and it's for 800 million silver for each one of those 10 packs. So it's pretty decent, but again, it's not guaranteed to get ancient tablets, but it is a lot if you actually do hit the ancient tablets. And then also it's the same pack where you get the boss stamps anyways. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about for ancient tablets was doing Twisted Nightmare. So if you come over here, you go to Twisted Nightmare, you can see all of the drops, all the loot. I'll be coming back to this a few times, but while you're doing this, if you participate, you'll be getting ancient tablets as well. I don't know off the top of my head how many you get. I just don't know off the top of my head, but just be aware that this is another good way to get them. And then, as we already discussed, you can be doing Ranked Arena Raminus and then Ranked Arena for just 1v1. And these chests are going to give you your ancient tablets as well. So the next way to be getting these ancient tablets, we're going to have to go to our guild fortress. So go ahead and go there. So here in the Guild Fortress, if you go over to Guild Expedition, if you're not like the guild leader, you can't really do much here. But this is just to show you what you can get. Whenever you do guild rushes, it could be either one of these bosses and any difficulty really. But the higher the difficulty, the more of these ancient tablets you'll get. 3 to 5, you're going to get the exact same number anyways. But if you're doing these rushes, you'll be able to get some ancient tablets as well. So again, keep that in mind. And then the last way that I wanted to say was, we've already kind of talked about it multiple times, but I'll just say it again. So if you go to Dispatch and then Tower of Trials, you can also get some ancient tablets from here as well. I do think it's the exact same thing with the boss rushes, that you can only get them from the Elion version. So again, make sure you're doing that. And it's not a lot, but they do add up. So the last way for getting these ancient tablets is by doing Blackrock Shrine. It's the exact same as the boss stamps. Whenever you're doing offering to the Blackrock Shrine, you'll be able to get these ancient tablets as well. So that's probably, in my opinion, like one of the best ways to be getting these. So make sure that you're farming Adana's coins pretty much every week. Make sure that you're using your water, and make sure that you're offering to these shrines. It's again going to be good for your progression. Something that I completely forgot to talk about was going to be the uses for ancient tablets. So whenever you're wanting to use these, you're going to be going to Expedition and then Ruins. This is the only way to be using your ancient tablets that I'm aware of. So you can either do Ancient, First Prophet, you could do Eternal Guardian, Eternal Prophet rather, or Chaos. So all of these are going to be using your ancient tablets, and it does require some other materials depending on which ones you do. So for Chaos, this is the one that I think is the best one for me. It's just Twisted Time or Tangled Time. I get confused with them. It's Tangled Time, and then 15 of these memory shards. And then for Eternal, you're still using ancient tablets, but then you're also using Tangled Time. What I would do is I wouldn't ever do First Prophet. If you just want to use ancient tablets, just do Ancient and then do the max difficulty. Again, this is a good way to get these little baby Kabuas, and then also these Lightstone chests as well. These rewards right here, they're pretty bad. Like, I'll be honest, they're pretty bad. So the only time that I would do it is do Chaos. If you have the CP for it, I think it's 45k minimum. And then if not, actually I said that wrong. I prefer doing First Prophet over Eternal Prophet, but it's totally up to you what you want to do. Eternal gives you a pretty good chance to get these Twisted Times, but I'll be talking about those here in a second anyways. So that's pretty much it for ancient tablets. Let's go ahead and move on to Chaos Cores. So Chaos Cores, what are they used for? Really, there's only one use for them, and that is to craft Chaos Jewels. So these right here, this is like one of the most important resources that you'll have in the entire game. But these Chaos Cores right here, these are a bit easier to be getting. So I did want to talk about them individually, and we'll just kind of go from there. So this is the first thing. Before I use these to craft into Chaos Jewels, let's talk about them. Going back to our world map, we can go over here. And what I wanted to show was South Valencia, East Valencia. We'll just talk about a few things here. So whenever you're farming in these regions or anything that's past it, you have a chance to get a drop of a Chaos Jewel, but you also have a chance to get these War Horns as well. So this one's the Cadre Gatekeeper, and then this one's the Executioner. If you actually get the Cadre Gatekeeper and you start a party, you'll have to be either inviting friends or guild members. Guild members or bloodkin to your party. If they accept and then you run it, if you're the one running it, you'll get a total of 100 Chaos Cores. So that's the equivalent of 1 Chaos Jewel. Whereas if you were to run like a higher tier horn, you won't get that many. You'll just get different resources. So ironically, this is actually one of the best things to try to farm for. It's really hard to get and the drop rate is really low, but it's pretty good. It's basically like a guaranteed Chaos Jewel. But then also, while you're farming here, you'll also be getting these loot chests, and it's the same thing. Every time that you open them, you can get a chaos core as well. I opened my chests earlier and I showed you how many cores that I got for 10,000. I'll just put that picture up on the screen again. I think 10,000 gave me like 240 or so, but again, this is like the most consistent way to be getting these cores. The next way that I wanted to show, and it's probably like you'll get the smallest amount, you're really not going to get a lot, but at least something's better than nothing. So every time that you do Chaos Maraca, you'll be getting some of these chaos cores. I think that if you actually go to when it's actually spawned live, like if you don't go to do the Spectre and you kill it whenever it spawns, which this spawns on, let's just look at the content calendar. I think it's on Sunday, but I don't know what time. Chaos Maraca, it spawns at 2000, so 8 o'clock server time. If you go there and you end up getting higher ranked, I believe you get more chaos cores. So keep that in mind. You can either do the Spectre just whenever you want to, or try to show up and see if you can get like better drops anyways. So the next thing is Nightmare. So going into Nightmare, we can get these chaos cores as well. You can get all these other stuff, but it's a lot harder to get these drops. You're more likely to get like the chaos cores and like these lower tier items anyways. I don't remember off the top of my head how many chaos cores you get. I might have an image on screen because I think I took a screenshot when I did this last. But yeah, this is also another way you can get chaos cores. So something else I wanted to show was for chaos cores, just like farming in any of these other regions, you can also do it in Everfrost. However, I believe it's only certain types of monsters that have this as a drop. So like if I click this, it's not on the drop table, and you can't actually get this from this Frozen Legacy chest. What you'll have to do is you'll have to kill like specific monsters to get them. So I have on my list on Excel all the monsters that you can get, and I think the lowest CP is 45k CP. So it's like the Pan something. So let's just look for that. So right here, Panvala. So if you kill these, you can get some chaos cores. The only thing is depending on which one you're killing, you might not have a chance to get an eternal accessory, which I don't think is very worth it. If you have like all your eternal accessories, maybe you can do that. It's up to you. But even here, Barukia drops them, but it doesn't have eternal accessories either. So what I would say is like always just kill things that have eternal accessories, and everything else is just, it's extra. So while we're looking at the map, another thing that you can be doing to get these is by doing Chaos Rift. So in any of these Chaos Zones, I believe there should be a Rift. So let's just do this one, since this is probably where you'll be if you're like a newer player. So going into this Rift's drop table, it has some pretty good stuff. The loot chests do change. So Chaos Rift loot chest, you can also get them from here as well. You can only do 10 entries, and then depending on which difficulty of Rift you're doing, it'll change the amount of time that you can be in there. So this is Chaos Rift 3. I'm not entirely sure how long you can be in there, but again, these chests, they drop a lot more frequently whenever you're in here, so they have some pretty good drops. So make sure that you're doing Chaos Rift every day, which I'm just gonna go ahead and path over there just to kind of show you. Actually, I decided to not path. I'm just going to show you where I'm at right now. So it looks like the Chaos Rift loot chest is probably about the same. I'm not sure if that color was different. Let's just take a look. Yeah, the loot chest color is different. So this is like a grade mystical, where the other one is abyssal. So that probably affects like what your likelihood is to get these chaos cores. What I would say is always make sure you're doing the highest rift that you can, and make sure that you're doing it every week. So looking at the store status, you have a weekly limit of 10 of these harmony stones. You'll need 10 of these harmony stones, and then 10 of whatever orb you'll need or anything else to actually craft the entry for it. So for me, the one that I need is gonna be this wind essence, and then what I'll end up crafting, like I'll go to craft, I'll go to material, and then I go to process, I do believe, and I'll pretty much just need this oath shield, but this will only give me 18 minutes. If you were like doing tier 3 like I was showing before, Oh, it's also 18. I guess the update made it where they're all 18, but they did increase the drop rate. So it doesn't take as long to be in there, but your drops are still going to be really good. So make sure that you're doing that, especially because like there's some unique drops that you can get from Chaos Rift anyways, which I'll show you really quickly. So like this Shattered Ring of Frenzy is a unique drop, and this Shattered Ring of Vehemence. I don't even know how to say that, but I tried. Those are really, really good. As you can tell just by like their selling price, it's insane, and it's really hard to get them, but I know a lot of people who have them, so it can't be that hard. So the next thing that I wanted to show you was, again, another way that you can get these Chaos Cores. It's going to Patrigio, and what we're going to be looking at is Merchant Guild Delivery. So whenever you come to Patrigio, do Merchant Guild Delivery, or Merchant Delivery, and then what you're going to be trying to do is get a total of 1 million points. I've made a video on this in the past, like all of the item points and everything. I have a spreadsheet out there as well. If you'd like that, I'll leave that link in the description. Something that you can get is like this Brooch of Tycoon, but if you look at the rewards, these rewards are really good. So you get Roots of Sorcery, Caphras Pages, Lapis Lazuli, Twisted Time, Chaos Cores. We're sticking to that because that's what we're talking about right now. If you have Master Materials, so I'll just show you really quickly. So if you have these materials right here, you'll just need 875. Whenever you offer them to him, offer the 875 every week, and then you'll end up getting, I believe it's 80 Chaos Cores, which again, I'll be putting that on screen how many you get in total. But make sure you're doing that because like all of those resources that were listed on there are really helpful. They're really, really useful. So yeah. So something new that I wanted to talk about, I've already been talking about it, but I haven't talked about like too many of the updates, is Blackrock Shrine. So Blackrock Shrine, they recently added where you can also get Chaos Cores while you're offering. So it's like a specific shrine. So if you go and they're not there, you can either wait for it or you can just offer to whatever shrine that you have. What I do is I only offer to the Blackrock Shrine because I need a whole lot of Chaos Jewels right now. Just know that you can get those, and if you don't see them, you can either wait for the next shrine or you know, just use your Adonis coins on whatever's there. So I thought that was a really cool addition. I think that what it did was it ended up dropping the price of Chaos Jewels in general. So like if you go to the market, these Chaos Jewels, they were like at 70 billion silver before the update, but now that they added them into Blackrock Shrine, the price is going down. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Feels bad for whoever was selling them, but yeah. So something weird that I want to talk about next is going back to Expedition. I don't normally do this, and I think the drop rate for them is not really good. It's like barely existent. But if you go to Hadum, which I'll be making a video on this on like Monday, it's just gonna be a super short video, but you can also get these drops right here. I've tried this. I don't get like any of these drops, but it is a possibility. Like it's something that you can get. But yeah, just be aware that you can also do Chaos Cores, and then again, I'll be making a video on this for newer players. This is actually going to be super helpful, so I'm excited to share that because I've never used this until my new account. The next thing I wanted to talk about was going back to Trials of a Tour, and then we're going to be looking at Ancient. So there are some first time clear rewards for these Chaos Cores. So once you've gotten to level 11, you can get some Chaos Cores. Once you've gotten to 16, you can get some. And I think it's just those two. But in total, that's 50 Chaos Cores, and 50 Chaos Cores is kind of nice. Again, I know I said I wouldn't talk about this, but Path of Power for newer players, you can get those, you can get Chaos Cores from there as well. And then also from like doing stories, you can get a lot of Chaos Cores. So again, keep those on your radar. Make sure that you're doing all of your stories, and make sure that you're doing the activities for Path of Power. And then I already talked about this, but also the party rushes with the war horns. Make sure that you're doing that. If you are like a higher level player like me, and then the horns that you're getting aren't the lower ones. You'll be getting the Dim Tree Spirit ones. You're only going to be getting, I think it's 20 Chaos Cores. I'll have an image for the participating. I don't remember what it is if you actually have it, just because it's been a long time since I've gotten one of those to drop for me. But the lower tier horns give you more Chaos Cores, so that's kind of weird, but it is what it is. And then just to reiterate, because I feel like I went over this pretty quickly, whenever you're opening these loot chests from killing monsters, you'll also be getting them. So I'm actually just going to open some more just to really reinforce the fact that you can get some. So I'm going to open these chests right here. And then there you see I got 21 cores. So again, it's pretty nice. Make sure that you're always doing these. So once you've gotten at least 100 of these chaos cores, what you can do is just take them out and then go to craft. And then what you're going to be wanting to make with them are these chaos jewels. So I wanted to talk about these chaos jewels next. Most of the ways you get them are the exact same as the chaos cores, but just in case someone had skipped to this part of the video, let's go ahead and let's go over them. So again, going back, you can do Twisted Nightmare. You'll want to be doing this with your guild, but you can get these as a drop for participating in it, and I think it depends on like your performance as well, like what your drops are. So if your guild did pretty good, you might get one of these, and Chaos Jewels are, man, they're amazing. They're actually used for a pretty good number of things for actually leveling up your account. So if you go to craft, let's just talk about all of its uses. So for crafting, you'll need them for the Dawnveil gear, you'll need them for crafting chaos gear, you'll need them whenever you're crafting eternal accessories. I believe you'll also need them for awakening, well, you'll need them for like doing these upgrades to your rings or your necklace or anything else. It's actually a lot to upgrade them, but if you want to craft chaos accessories as well, you'll need 2 of them, so, or however many it takes for that specific piece. Yeah, you'll need them for all of them actually. And then whenever you want to awaken this piece of gear, you'll actually have to pay even more chaos jewels. So these are used for a lot of stuff. So another thing is that's really good is the Harmony Stone. Harmony Stone is amazing. Like it's such a quality of life buff. And then for each one of these Chaos Alchemy Stones, you need Chaos Jewels as well. And then also you need Chaos Jewels for Chaos Relics. There's probably some more stuff you might need. I think this might actually be the last one. It's going to be the last one I talk about, but also Chaos Emblems. For every chance to get a Chaos Emblem, you'll need 1 Chaos Jewel. Once you've used 7 in total, you'll be guaranteed to get the Chaos Emblem. So yeah, in total, that's a whole lot of Chaos Jewels. And this is like the most expensive material in the game, I would say. So going back to the different ways that you can get them, again, it's pretty much the same as the cores, but going to Chaos Rifts, you can get them as a drop. I don't know what the drop rate is like for them, but then also whenever you're just killing monsters, you can get them as a drop as well. They're really rare, but they do happen. So anytime that you're not doing anything else, make sure that you're farming. Just kill monsters, get their knowledge, and then hopefully you'll get one of these drops. And then look for like an area where the drop rate is increased. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, it is a little bit weird, but let's go ahead and go back to guild, and let's go to Guild Fortress. So again, we're back in our guild or our guild fortress, and then if you click reclaim, if you do Banquet Hall, you have a chance to get a Chaos Jewel as well. So this is pretty good. You can only do it like once per day, and I think it depends on which tier of node that you have. I'm not entirely sure about all the requirements for this. Just if you're in a guild, try to be in a node that gives you access to this, and then when you have access, you can be farming this once a day, and I believe it's for an hour. The next one is going to be Outer Castle. This one's a lot harder to get. I think you have to be in like one of the top PvP guilds, but you also have the chance of getting Chaos Jewels here as well. I just wanted to show you this. I'm not going to give you like a whole bunch of information on like doing these two, just because I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. Just be aware that this is another way that you could be getting them. And then just because we are talking about kind of weird ways to get them, I'm going to go back to Expedition, go to Valor, and go to Hadum. So So same as before, you can get these chaos jewels here as well, but the drop rate for them is pretty trash. You're actually only in here for I think like 4 minutes or so. So it's really quick. You can get this, you can knock this out pretty quickly, but the drop rate for them is not good. Just know that there is a chance to get them. But looking at more guaranteed ways, again, make sure you're doing your stories, like you can get some from there, but then also by doing Trials of a Tour Elite. So let's go back to trials. We're not going to look at any of the ancient ones because you can't get them there. But if you do the elite one, there are special first time rewards. So if you clear level 17, you'll get 2 chaos jewels, which I'm actually going to do after this because it's so good. But if you do level 3, you'll get 2. If you do level 6, you'll get 2. If you do level 9, you'll get 2, which that's a lot right there. That's 6 already. That's 8 if you do 17. So in total, if you finish all of them, you'll get 8. So that's awesome. That's a great way to get chaos jewels. I know that they're gonna be resetting these at some time. I just don't know when. Only reason I know is because I got to level 20 before and they reset it. So that's kind of cool. I enjoy that. And then every time it resets, you can get these items again. So I'm always looking forward to that. Make sure that you do this as soon as possible, just because we don't know when they're going to reset it. I'm sure they'll say something, but you don't want to be doing this last minute because this can be really frustrating. And then the last way that I wanted to talk about getting chaos jewels was through Fairy. So Fairy's pretty cool because she has these fairy gifts right here. If you have the fairy skill, let's just go to the skills first. If you have this skill right here, enhance fairy gifts, you can actually look over here in this main screen, fairy gifts, all of these different rewards you can get. So you can get some pretty good stuff, but once you're at the max level, you have a chance to get chaos jewels. And I'm going to say this, it's definitely worth it. I've gotten well over a handful of chaos jewels just from her. I basically had to do nothing. Every day she'll give you one of these items. They can stack. I think it stacks up to 3 gifts. Yeah, it says it right here. But I've gotten a lot of chaos jewels from her, so that's always a really, really nice surprise. And it's pretty quick and easy to get that unlocked as well. So that's pretty much everything I'm going to talk about for chaos jewels. If I miss something, again, I'll go back and I'll try to edit and add it, or I'll just pin a comment. But what I wanted to move on to next was Acrid. Again, really quickly before I go to Acrid, you can always check the acquisition here as well. Everything that I just talked about, not everything was listed here. So that's what I was saying, was like, it says stuff here, but it doesn't say everything here. So like Fairy Gift isn't included in here, the Banquet Hall, the Hidden Outer Castle, Expedition's not listed here. So yeah, just be aware of that. So that's kind of why I'm going over all of these like niche ways to get them. But with that being said, let's move on to Acrid. And Acrid are pretty cool. You can use them to craft Acrid crystals and then also certain chaos or eternal equipment. So you'll need these pretty much same as chaos jewels. So going into craft, if I were to craft the Dawnveil gear, I need Acrid for that. You don't need Acrid for like chaos gear or anything like that, but if you were to craft eternal accessories, you need Acrid. If you were to go to Harmony Stone, you need Acrid. If you go to Relics, you need Acrid. Every time you enhance one of these chaos relics, I think it's called branch enhance, you need Acrid. So Acrid are pretty important. But same as before, let's go ahead and let's just check their acquisition list. And then I'll go through all of these. So it looks like they pretty much put a lot of stuff on here. Like most of the ways you can get them, it looks like they listed them. But let's talk about them. So starting off, what we'll do is we'll look at Nightmare. You can get them from Nightmare, same as before. Depending on your performance of your guild, you might have a higher chance to get them. But then also, same as before, which again, we're going to be going over a lot of the same stuff over and over. Whenever you're farming in like different zones, you can get them as a drop. These are a lot more common than chaos jewels. I have, as you saw, I have like 230 of them. I have a lot more Acrid than I do chaos jewels. That's probably just because like we don't have to use as many Acrid for different things. And then also supposedly you can also get these during Black Sun. I've never gotten them as a drop, but I think it's listed on the drop table somewhere. Well, it's not listed here, but yeah, I saw that somewhere. Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but that's okay. I just wanted to throw that in there. And then also some other things that you can do for some guaranteed acrid, like these are things that you need to be doing every week, are co-op rushes. So every time that you do a co-op rush, I think you're pretty much guaranteed to get one. I could be wrong on that, but I get a lot of acrid from doing these rushes. And you can either do Garmeth's Nest or you can do Temple of Greed. So this one's pretty easy. That was the first one that came out. Pretty much everyone does Garmeth's Nest now. They're all wanting this necklace right here, but yeah, that's another way. The next way that I wanted to talk about was actually through a world boss. So if you come over here, it's gonna be Ahib's Griffin. So whenever you kill this griffin right here, I believe you're guaranteed to get one of these every time. So yeah, be aware of that. It's pretty good. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, similar to farming, it's again just going to Chaos Rift. You can get it as a drop here as well. Again, I think the drop rate for this is increased in this, but I could be wrong on that. And then also, same as before, if you go to your guild, you go to Reclaim, Banquet Hall and Outer Castle, you have chances to get these as well. Again, you're going to be defeating monsters, so it's not guaranteed that you get them as a drop. It's not like a guaranteed reward, but it is something that you can do to get them. And then I actually completely forgot to show you this last boss. So this last one, Variak. I have no idea how to say that, but I'm not going to edit this out. You can get acrid from this as well. So these two, I believe they're guaranteed to get them. I don't remember off the top of my head, but this is like quick, easy, nice way to get acrid. So again, keep that in mind. And then the last couple of things I wanted to say was going back to Fairy. In Fairy Gifts, it's the same as the Chaos Crystal, except for acrid, it's for tier 5 and above. So if you're tier 5, you can get an acrid, and then if you're tier 6, obviously you can also get an acrid. So pretty nice. I like that as well. I think Fairy was one of the best additions to the game. I think it's awesome. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about was, again, Trials of a Tour. So you're not going to be able to get any from Ancient, so we're going to go back to Elite. And same as before, every time that you clear one of these trials for the first time, you'll get first time rewards. So clearing level 2, you'll get 3, level 5, you'll get 3, level 8, you'll get 3, level 10, you'll get 3, level 12, you'll get 3, and then all the way up to 18, you'll get 5. So that's a lot of acrid. So make sure that you're doing that. So again, that was the last one that I wanted to talk about for acrid. Let's go ahead and let's move on to relic chests. So actually, before I talk about relic chests, I'm going to talk about relic fragments. I'm pretty much just going to group these together. So relic fragments, let me pull them up right here. Again, acquisition, it says only one way that you can get them. There's a lot of different ways. So that's okay, it is what it is. But relic fragments are really, really good because same as Lightstones, what you can do is you take them and you'll go to obtain relic. I always do special shop on, and then whenever I offer my relics, if you're a new player, what you should be doing is offering it to Wisdom of Battle and Goblin's Blessing. This Goblin's Blessing is going to increase your drop rate, and then this Wisdom of Battle is going to increase your field XP, and then Ease of Burden just increases your weight limit. But once you've gotten those all to level 100, you can move on to like doing other things. What you can do is either increase your branch damage, increase your dark energy, or sell them for silver. I normally just do the branch damage, and then I set to automatically offer all of these. The ones that I try to keep are the Abyssal ones. The Abyssal ones are like really the only ones that I think are important. So yeah, you'll save settings and then you'll autofill. So as you can see, there's a couple different things that you get here. You get the golden sculpture, but then you also get this experience towards your branches, which that's always pretty nice. So while you're doing this, as you can see, you can obtain these abyssal relics. You'll get a lot, especially if you have as many as me. But the reason the abyssal relics are so good is because you need them if you want to try to upgrade these your relics that you actually use. So even if you're using chaos relics, you'll still end up using abyssal ones to try to upgrade them. So I have a really low rate of success, so I need a lot of them. So those abyssal fragments help me create these abyssal relics, but then there are other ways to be getting them. So let's talk about how you actually get the relic fragments, and then I'll get more into the how you get the relic chests for a guaranteed abyssal relic. So for relic fragments, again, I've talked about it before, but I'll talk about it again. Genoveva's shop. So there's some pouches, which I think this time I actually do have some of them. So let's go ahead and let's try to open them. Okay, so this one right here, I don't have a lot, but let's just see. I only have 10. And then I ended up getting a good amount of Lightstones, a good amount of ancient gold coins, and a good amount of relic fragments, and also these alchemy stones fragments. So these pouches are really good. That was just from one purchase. If I were to purchase multiple of them, or if I got like 10 of those bags, I'd have a whole lot. So keep that in mind. These pouches are really good. But that's like the first way. The next way is going to be from Merchantry Dispatch. So I showed this before, but let's show it again. So if you go to Merchantry and then you go to Dispatch, you can also get these relic fragments from here as well. I don't remember off the top of my head if I got any from the sealed treasure chests or if I got them from these other ones right here, but again, just kind of keep that in mind that Merchantry is a good way to get some fragments as well. It might not be the best way, or like you won't get the most amount of relic fragments, but it is a way. Okay, so I do remember for Dispatch, if you were to do those sealed chests, as I showed before, you can actually get these relic fragment chests. You can also get these from doing Patrigio. It's not a lot, but it does add up. So if I open these chests, I got like 10,000 of them. So it's really not a lot. It's not like the bread and butter of how you'll be getting them, but again, it is something. So another great way to be getting relic fragments is by going to Expedition, doing Ruins, and any of these difficulties actually drop relic fragments. It's kind of the same as before with the Lightstone fragments. I think Ancient is actually a pretty decent choice, but other than that, I definitely do think that First Prophet is like probably the best one. It gives a really good amount for the resources that you have to spend, and then I'll also be putting on screen what each of the rewards were for these different difficulties. So for the Ancient one, I did it as a multiplier of 300. For First Prophet, I did it a multiplier of 9, so that way I'd use the same amount of Tangled Time as I did for the Eternal Guardian, or whatever it is, the pink one. And then also for Eternal Guardian, I just did multiplier of 1, and then for the Chaos one, I did a multiplier of 1 as well. So hopefully this will give you like a pretty good rule of thumb. You also have a chance to be getting relic chests, but I wasn't lucky enough to get those. So I think that the better drop, or I guess a more consistent drop, would be these relic fragments. And then moving on, what we'll talk about are actually going to be the relic chests. So what I'm going to show is just what they look like. So it's these right here. It doesn't say anything for acquisition, so what I'm going to do is I'll just talk about them. So again, you need these relics just if you want to like craft a primal, or if you want to eventually craft like a chaos relic. So if you go down to relics, and if you wanted to craft a primal, you'll basically just need one abyssal of whichever type that you want, one of these ancient relic remnants, which you can get from crafting your relic fragments into relics, and then you'll just need some magical essence. But basically you'll just be upgrading these, and every time you upgrade it, you'll need another one of that same type of relic. So a few ways that you can get them. My main way is, again, just by farming. So whenever I'm farming monsters, I'm just killing these monsters. I can get them as a drop, or B, it can be in one of these loot chests. So I basically have 2 chances to get them. I get a whole lot of them from the loot chests. As you saw, I had like 180 or so. I need like 200 if I'm being honest, but I think that even in this region right here, you might not have a chance to get them. It might be in this chest right here. I would have to check on my other account though. But just keep that in mind that whenever you're farming, you have a chance to get those. But then also another way is if you go to Expedition, you go back to Ruins. If you do Ancient, and then if at the max difficulty, you can get these Abyssal Relic chests. If you're doing First Prophet, you can't get them, it looks like, but in Eternal, you can get them again. And then also in Chaos, you can get them again. So depending on the difficulty, it increases the chances for some of these drops as well. So yeah, this is a pretty decent way. I think Chaos gives it consistently. So yeah, another way that you can get these is by doing, again, co-op rushes. And if you do Garmouth, you can get these. I don't believe you can get them. Yeah, you can't get them in Temple of Greed. The difference with these two is that Temple of Greed, you can get Abyssal Crystals. For Garmouth, you can be getting these, the Relic chests. And then for the next thing here in Trials of Ator Ancient, I completely forgot, but here for every time that you clear these, you'll be getting relic fragments. So if I were to clear, it's not like a first time clear. If I were to clear these 35, I would get 35 times 1200. So I'd get like, I don't know, I'm not even gonna do the math on this. It's like 42,000 or so. So yeah, this is another pretty good way to get them. So make sure that you're doing Trials of Ator, and then you'll get a pretty good amount of other resources while you do this as well. So that's pretty much it for the relics, the relic fragments, and like how to get them. Again, my main way is just by farming monsters. I'm not entirely sure which zone you need to be in, and it doesn't actually show me that they drop here in Camasylvia. This is realistically going to be like your first major region that you're farming in after you've completed your seasonal character. They might drop in this loot chest, but I'm not entirely sure, so just be aware of that. But I know that for sure they do drop here in Dregan, so you can get it as a drop here in Dregan, or you can get them from these chests. I'll be honest, my recording completely was ruined, so I'm having to do this again, but hopefully that means that I will at least be a little bit more experienced on this, so I can give you clear, concise information. So let's continue. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was Abyssal Crystal chests. So let's go ahead and pull those up. So these are the ones that I'm talking about right here, these Abyssal Crystal chests. These are really, really good, especially if you're a newer player. They're good for putting into your equipment. So you can always just, as you see, you have these slots right here. You might not have as many slots as me. You'll definitely get more depending on what your enhancement level is. So this number right here, the +8, if you have +8, you'll be able to have all 5 of them, but that's not really the point we're making. So these are good because if you don't have these dimensional crystals, you can always just put these abyssal ones in. Or what you can do is you can use these abyssal crystals to try and craft some dimensional crystals. So let's take a look at that. So over here in your crafting menu, if you go to material and then you go over to crystal, the thing we're looking for are these abyssal crystal fluids. So if you have 15 of these abyssal crystals, you'll be able to offer them up to get this fluid. Normally what I do is I'll put anything that is not either AP or DP crystals in here. So like the attack speed one, the move speed, the HP one, I'll throw in there. And then anything that's not like a +15. So once you've put all of these in here and then you've gotten your abyssal crystal fluid, what you can do is you can go in down here and you can either make dimensional crystals or you can make acrid crystals. Both are really good. The dimensional crystals are for your main gear, so like your weapons, your helmet, your gloves, your boots, stuff like that. And then the acrid crystals are for your accessories. So these give a little bit less CP, but they're still pretty good. So if you were to like prioritize which one is better, I would definitely say make sure that you're getting dimensional crystals before your acrid crystals. These just give you a lot more CP in general, and you can make a lot more of them. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind, and then these are like the resources that you need for them. I'll go over more of these later. I'm actually going to do a second part to this video just because I don't want it to go on for too long. But that's basically like everything that there is for the crystals, like what you use them for. As you can see, like I have pretty good crystals. I think the max that you can get is plus 35, and then the lowest is plus 21. But this gives you a whole lot of CP. So again, these are really useful. But let's go back to the Abyssal crystals, and then let's talk about how we can actually get these. So there's a few different ways that you can be getting them. I am just going to talk about farming first. So let's go over to the map, and then over here in Everfrost. So you can actually farm like certain monsters here in Everfrost. They do drop these crystals as a reward. So like if you just kind of click these, I'm taking a shot in the dark which ones they are. Okay, so it is going to be these over here. If you can go to like name our gravestone, these are like the lowest CP monsters that you can actually start attacking. You can actually get these abyssal crystals as a drop. As you can see though, you don't actually have an eternal accessory as a chance for a drop, so it might not be like the best spot for you to be farming. But if you're like at the lowest CP, and like if you're at 40k CP and like that's the only thing that you can really kill, maybe you just try that. But honestly, as soon as you can kill anything that drops an eternal accessory, you should probably just kill that instead. But I did just want to let you know that it is a possibility that you can get them there. But also, what I wanted to talk about was in certain regions, while you're farming monsters, you can actually get these abyssal crystals as a drop as well. But it's not going to be straight off of the drop table. It's going to be from these chests right here. So it's not going to be the legacy. It's always going to be from like these loot chests. So I believe it's from Dregan onward you can get the Abyssal Crystal. Anything that's before Dregan, instead of getting the Abyssal Crystal, what you actually get are going to be these lower tier crystal chests. So it's going to be the mystical crystal chest instead. And I'll talk about like what you can actually do with these here in a second. But I did just kind of want to let you know that whenever you are getting these loot chests, depending on where you're farming, you'll either get the mystical or you'll get the abyssal. Obviously, what you're really wanting is the abyssal, and I'll just kind of put on screen like how many abyssal crystals I had gotten from whenever I had opened my chests earlier. So just so you can kind of keep that in mind. So let's actually go back to these crystals right here. I did just want to show you what you can do with them. So if you have like lower tier crystals, I honestly would say you really don't need the mystical ones unless you're using them for like merchantry or something like that. The reason I say that, which I'll like briefly touch on it right now though, is if you're doing merchantry, you can always like create these special goods, and every now and then the wandering merchant Marco will be in your merchantry run. So what you can do is you can go and take these special goods to him and sell it to them. This will give you a lot of experience early on. I highly recommend doing that, but once you already have like a merchantry level like me where you're like 90 plus, you probably won't be doing that as much. You might not need to. So what I do is I just sacrifice all of my mystical crystals and I try to get abyssal crystals in return for them. So if I were to open my chest and let's pull up these mystical crystals, and then what you'll want is to have a setting where you're auto fusing your crystals. So again, I don't need the mystical one, so I just have it to auto fuse for mystical and below. So let's save those settings and let's open that chest. Basically what you're doing is you're trying to fuse these crystals to get these abyssal ones. I didn't get a lot in return, but something's better than nothing, I guess, and I'm not using these chests for anything else. Again, you do get the mystical chests from like lower tier farming areas, but once you've gotten to like Dregan, you should be able to just straight up get these abyssal crystals. But don't quote me on that. I could be I could be wrong on that. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about for these abyssal crystals was co-op rushes. So here in co-op rushes, you're not going to be able to get it from Garmith's Nest, but you can get it from Temple of Greed. And I think this is a pretty consistent drop. I think you're pretty much guaranteed to get them, and it's more than just one. So if you're needing abyssal crystals more than you're needing like these abyssal relics, maybe you just do Temple of Greed. I think it's pretty good for those crystals. So again, just keep that in mind, that is a pretty good way that you can get those. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was Trials of a Tour. So here in Ancient, if you were to do some first time clears for these lower levels, so like level 1 you get an abyssal crystal chest, level 6 you get some, and I think that's pretty much it. So you can get like a handful of abyssal crystals just from doing Trials of a Tour Ancient, but it's not a lot. But at least just know that this is somewhere that you could get some if you're really in need of them. So that's actually it for the abyssal crystals. So what I wanted to talk about next was unknown memories. So I'm going to actually group this one up with something else. So the next two is going to be unknown memories and memory shards. So unknown memories, there's a lot of different types that you can have. Basically anything that you have for your equipment, so your weapon, your gloves, your offhand, your helmet, your accessories, every one of these can have a memory. And then each one of these memories you kind of get from like different areas. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and like group all of them together, and I'll just say like a broad statement for how you can get each one of them. And then like I'll kind of specify if there are like certain ones to specify on. But let's talk about the uses really quickly. So unknown memories are basically used for imprinting your gear. So if you were to go to Black Spirit and you go to memory imprint, if you have these memories, what you can do is you can just add them onto your equipment. So if you look at mine, like I have something on every single one of mine. So each piece of my gear has a special bonus added to it. So like there's PvP damage that you can add a burn, you can also have like your evasion cooldown reduced. You can also get increased healing from potions, and then you can also decrease healing from potions for like other players. So these are really good, and there's a lot of different things that you can get. If you're looking for like a specific one, or if you are like working on a specific piece, you might want to like look online for like a list of this. I'm not going to go through every single thing that you can get, and I'm not going to go through like what are the best ones you should be getting. I just want to let you know that these are really important, and you're definitely going to want to be making sure that you have at least one of these imprints on each one of your gears. So going into like how you can actually get these items, let's go over to our guild fortress again. So let's do this. So here in the guild fortress, if you go over to your boss rushes, you can actually get some unknown memories here. So whenever you're doing like different difficulties, you can be getting either a ring, which is a primal ring, or an abyssal ring and gloves. So this is actually a pretty consistent way to be getting these memories. Like I think that you end up having like a lot of gloves, and I'll kind of talk about it more, but this is like a great way to get memory shards. Anytime that you have a bunch of throwaway memories, you can just feed them to your Black Spirit. But again, I'll talk about that here in a second. So also, whenever you do Guild Rush Special, you can also get these memories as well. So it looks like the drop rate does not increase based on the difficulty for the special. However, it does for normal up to a certain point, and it only increases for the abyssal gloves. Just keep that in mind. I again think that this is like one of the most consistent ways to be getting memories. So if you're not in a guild, make sure that you are in a guild, and yeah, you can definitely start working on that. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was Everfrost. There's actually kind of an interesting thing that you can get here. It's higher difficulty. It's a little bit higher level to get, but so as you can see here in the main drops, you can actually get some primal earrings as well as abyssal earrings for your memory imprints. These are kind of hard to get. The monsters that you have to kill, I think it's around like 60. I think it's 56 KCP. I think this is the earliest you can get them. So if you have around 56 KCP, you can be trying to get these. I think these are a little bit more unique. They're a bit harder to get. So just be aware that you can get these from Everfrost. It's just from a certain monster. And then also, I believe in Ilton Defense, you can also get these these memory imprints as well. So these are for your necklace, and it's the same thing where you can get a primal and you can get an abyssal. I believe that every time that you do this, you're pretty much guaranteed an abyssal, but the primal's a lot more rare. If you were to get that, you're guaranteed to get a primal imprint if you have that. If you have the abyssal one, you won't actually like always get an abyssal one. It could be a lower tier one, but just be aware that those two drops are available here in the Everfrost. And again, it is pretty difficult to get them, but honestly, any primal memory is also pretty difficult to get as well. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was actually the Great Desert. So there's a couple things here. Whenever you are farming here in the Great Desert and you're like killing these monsters, you can always get these unknown memories. I think that you have a higher chance from getting them from like a loot chest that drops on the floor, but this is pretty good. I know that I get like a lot of them, or at least a few of them, whenever I'm doing like Black Sun. But just kind of keep that on your radar. And then also, since we're talking about the Great Desert, I also wanted to say that while you do Expedition, and then if you were go to Valor, if you are like killing these Great Desert monsters, you can also get the same drop. So you can get unknown memories. I don't know if the drop rate for them is like either better or worse here. I don't do Great Valor or Field of Valor very often, so you'll just kind of have to try that out for yourself. But just be aware that you can get more of these glove memories here. And then, like I said, there's actually a lot of ways to get these glove ones, so this is like one of the ones that I end up like feeding to my Black Spirit the most anyways. The next thing I wanted to talk about was co-op rushes. So again, going to co-op rush, if you do Garmeth's Nest, you can actually get a primal ring, primal gloves, or abyssal ring as well. So this is actually really good. Like getting the ring is nice, getting the primal gloves would be really nice as well. But then also, if you were to do Temple of Greed, you can also get the primal ring and then the abyssal ring. So you have looks like less chances to actually get these two, but yeah, this is a pretty solid way, and I think like no matter what, you're guaranteed to get at least like an abyssal, so that's always pretty nice. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was just killing monsters like out in the world whenever you're farming. So if you were to be killing monsters like, let's say in Camasylvia, let's do Hadum Knowledge. If you look at these monsters, you can get unknown memories here as well. So you can get the helmet here in Camasylvia, and then you can also get abyssal or primal. And I'll be honest with you, if you farm a lot, you're bound to get one of these primals. The primals are really, really nice. But if you went to a different region, like in Drigan, it changes from being the helmet to being your sub weapon, so your offhand weapon. And then once again, if you leave, go somewhere else, like West Camasylvia, it'll actually be for your body. So it'll be both abyssal and primal, and then that's true for like any of the other regions. So if you're looking for like something specific, or like you're really trying to farm for one specific thing, it might be worthwhile like trying different regions. But anything before Camasylvia, it doesn't look like they have primal, it's only to abyssal. So one last way to actually get some of these unknown memories is gonna be crafting. So you can actually craft some of these yourself. So if you go over to material, and then you go to memory, you can craft these memories on a weekly limit. So for primal, you can do your weapon, or you can do your bracelet, and then also you can do abyssal weapon and abyssal bracelets. The only thing that it does cost to craft them are memory shards, which I kind of touched on them earlier, but I'll start talking about them now. So there's two different tiers of memory shards. There's primal memory shards, and then there's these blue purple memory shards. You'll get these blue purple memory shards from feeding your unknown memories to your Black Spirit. So here at an appraiser, you can take all of your unknown memories, and then you can have them appraised, and then based on what you're offering them, you'll get like different tiers. The abyssal won't always give you an abyssal memory. As you can see, I got epic and I got mystical, but if you were to give them a primal memory, you are guaranteed to get a primal memory. So For me, these are all probably pretty much throwaways just because like my memories are pretty good as they are, but what you can do is just feed these to your black spirit, and then you can see down here at the bottom, in exchange for feeding these to the black spirit, I'll be getting these memory shards. So how to actually get that second tier memory shard, so these primal memory shards, you can only get them by feeding primal memories to your black spirit, and you're guaranteed to get 2 every time that you feed one of them to them. So just be aware of that. And then this kind of, again, this ties into like crafting other memories. So there's a few different uses for memory shards, but if you're using the primal ones, like this is basically the only thing that it's used for, is for crafting other primals, and it's either for your weapon or your bracelet. But these memories themselves, they do have different purposes. So down here at the bottom, you can kind of see like you can either craft unknown memories, or what you can do is you can craft a Morrowax Pathfinder. So if you go down to process, you can see Morrowax Pathfinder right here. It does cost you 50 memory shards for each one of these, and then what you'll want to be doing is you'll want to be crafting 2 of these every month, because Morrowax Labyrinth is in Everfrost, and it's a really good way to be getting Void Sent Eyes. So you're definitely going to want to be making sure that you do this. So you'll use those Pathfinders to gain entry in here, and then there's other different rewards that you'll be getting. So make sure that you do that, and then again, just to get those memory shards, make sure that you're just feeding any unknown memories to your black spirit that you don't need. So moving on, let's look at 2 other resources, and they're going to be basically side by side. These 2 go pretty well together. So the first one that we'll be looking at is Magical Residue. So these are used for enchanting your gear. It can be like your normal gear, or it can be awakened gear. Depending on which one you're enchanting, it'll kind of like change the cost. So if it's like an Abyssal, which I'm going to show you, like for Chaos, you can only enchant 2 different numbers, but it's like a different type of enchanting. Whereas if I had like, an Abyssal helmet or something, there's actually 4 different slots you can be enchanting. Just be aware that that's pretty much the use of it. I'm not going to go like too crazy into detail on it, but you will be using that resource if you want to enchant, as well as some other resources. So let's just take this out, and I'll give you like a quick example for enchanting Chaos. But again, if you're enchanting Primal or anything lower, it's gonna be a little bit different. So here in the Black Spirit menu, if you go down at the bottom right to enchant, you can select your gear that you want to do, and then for me, the cost is 100,000 of these magical residue. So that's kind of a lot, and then it's also pretty much the same for magical essence, but I'll touch on that here in a second. So just be aware that you are using magical residue to work on your gear's enchantment levels. But how do you actually get magical residue? Let's look at a couple of different ways. Okay, so let's look at the first, and honestly probably like my favorite way to be getting magical residue. The first one's gonna be Shikatu's shop. You can actually be getting a lot of these coins by doing like boss rushes and stuff like that. I have another video on like making these resources, but either way, if you go to Shikatu's shop and then go to gold coins goods, what I normally do is I put shop tier 3, and then before I like offer anything, I make sure to set my black spirit to auto absorb everything. Basically, I don't need abyssal stuff, I don't need epic, I don't need any of this. So anytime that I offer this, I'm gonna be getting magical residue. The reason is, if you were to offer your gear to your black spirit, what it does is it gives you magical residue in return. So let's just do 1 round of this, and then I'll show you how many I got. So here I got about 97,000, which is a really, really good amount just for 1 offer. So that was basically 1 magical residue for every coin that I just used. And then also be aware that you could also get abyssal gear while you do this, which would translate to dimensional crystals, or dimensional fragments, which again, I'll just talk about in the next video. I'm gonna not go into that one this one, but yeah, I just want to let you know that this is probably like the best way to get magical residue. Another way that you can be getting magical residue is by going to dispatch and then doing merchantry. So again, you're not going to be getting like a crazy amount from this, but you can always just be aware that you can get it from this way. It's not too bad, but it is something, and something is better than nothing. So that's basically everything that I wanted to talk about for the magical residue. So what I want to talk about next is the magical essence, which I think this one's actually a bit harder to get. It's a bit more rare, but there are a lot more ways to be getting magical essence. It's just that you don't get as much. So Shikatu shop gives you a ton of magical residue. Like, as you can see, I have 209 million magical residue, whereas I only have 4 million magical essence. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was Trials of a Tour. So let's go to Trials, and let's go to, we'll just start with Ancient. So every time that you clear one of these difficulties, and it doesn't even have to be like every level, it could be like, okay, I've already done level 50, I have a multiplier of 35. Every time that I do this, I'm going to be getting 200 magical essence. So for doing 35, I think that's what I get, 7,000 magical essence. That's not too good, but at least it's something. It's like a consistent way to be getting magical essence. So just keep that in mind. And then also, whenever you do Trials of a Tour Elite, you'll also be getting 350,000 just for clearing a level. So every time that you clear one of these levels, you'll be getting 350,000. After you've cleared 10 levels, that's 3.5 million, which that is a really solid number to be getting for just for clearing these. So if you haven't done them already, make sure that you're doing Trials of a Tour Elite. Most of these rewards you'll need anyways, and they're super helpful, super nice. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was it's similar to what I had showed before with magical residue. If you were to feed your black spirit accessories, you'll also be getting some magical essence. So if I were to give these earrings, I get magical essence. It's not like the best amount that you can get, but it definitely is something. Normally, I only offer Abyssal grade and below. Anything above, I keep for myself to, like, I don't know, do something else with. But just be aware of that. So you can get like a lot of accessories from doing like different bosses, like Ayelia's Rift or whatever it's called, Ayeli Rift. If you were to do that, like, you get a bunch of different accessories, and those just go straight to my black spirit. The next thing that I did want to talk about was Raminus Arena. So let's go to the arena, and then let's go to Raminus. So same as before, if you are doing Raminus on a weekly basis, you can get these weekly rewards. So there's 4 of these Glory of Battle chests, and then you'll get some magical essence. So that's 40,000 right there. And then if you get to the last one, that's another 20,000. So it's 60,000 magical essence just from doing this every week, which that's not too bad. And then down here, there's also some different season rewards. So if you're keeping up with this, you can also get a pretty decent amount of magical essence as well. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, just because we're already in arena, is Battlefield of the Sun. So I don't think I'll be able to pull it up here. Hopefully I'll have like an image on screen, but for Battlefield of the Sun, to actually go into Battlefield of the Sun, you'll have to pay an entry. If you, depending on which resource you offer up, you'll actually get a different reward in exchange. So for what we're talking about now is you can offer up 250,000 magical residue, which is the more common resource, and then if you win, you'll get 250,000 magical essence. So the blue ones that we were just talking about. I think that that's always worth it. So, like, again, I have plenty of magical residue. I don't have enough magical essence. So that's a pretty good reward. It's a pretty good exchange for that. So again, just be aware that you can do Battlefield of the Sun. You can win up to 3 times for those rewards. So just keep that in mind. And then the next one that I wanted to talk about, well, once again, we'll have to go back to our guild fortress. So once you're here in your guild fortress, there's a guy over here. His name is Duncan. You can just go to his shop, and then he has some different products that you can buy. The one that we're looking at is Magical Essence Chest. So each one of these chests you get 35,000 Magical Essence, and all it costs are social tokens. So make sure that your friends list is full. Make sure that you're greeting everyone every day. You should have plenty every week to buy these. So I do recommend just getting this. It's not like a crazy amount, but again, it's actually a decent amount. I think it's like 105,000 every week, so that's not too bad. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was going to be Black Shrine. So if you go to your Land of the Morning Light tab, you go to Black Shrine. Every time that you defeat these monsters, you'll be getting Magical Essence. It's actually a pretty decent amount, but you do have a weekly entry limit of 5. You can always buy more passes, but just be aware that you'll get a pretty good amount of Magical Essence from here. And then also, depending on your Black Spirit level, your rewards will change a little bit. So again, make sure that you're doing this. You need to be doing this anyways. This is really, really good content, and then there's a lot of different resources that you can get from here anyways. So since we talked about Black Shrine, let's talk about Black Rock Shrine. So that's the one in the desert, of course. So hopefully I'll be putting an image on screen, but there are rewards at Black Rock Shrine where you can actually get Magical Essence as a reward. So I believe it takes the place of your Chaos Cores and like the XP scrolls. So it's actually like the best, I guess, resource that you can get from that one. I wouldn't recommend getting that one unless you're like in dire need of Magical Essence. I basically only offer to Black Rock Shrine if there are Chaos Cores, but to each their own. If you want those, go for it, and if not, don't do it. So for the next one, I think I already said this for Magical Residue, but I'll say it again. If you go to Dispatch, go to Merchant Tree, and then you were to dispatch your workers, or one of your characters, you can also get Magical Essence and of course Magical Residue as well. Or what you can do is just do normal merchantry and try to get it that way. So for the last thing that I wanted to show you for Magical Essence was going over to Expedition and then doing Ruins. So you actually can't get them from Ancient or from First Prophet, but what you can do is you can get them from Eternal and you can get them from Chaos. These are both pretty decent. Again, I would not really ever recommend doing Eternal Prophet. I would recommend doing Chaos if you can. But if your CP is not high enough, I mean, it is what it is. Just you can't do it. So do what you can, and then just kind of go from there. But I pretty much always prefer First Prophet over Eternal. I would skip Eternal entirely if I could. So with that being said, that's actually it for Magical Essence and Magical Residue. Again, if I missed anything, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to fix it in editing. But moving on, the next thing that I wanted to talk about were going to be Inscribed Glyphs. So Inscribed Glyphs are these right here. I'll mostly be talking about these first ones, and then I'll talk about Ancient Inscribed Glyphs as well as Dark Inscribed Glyphs. So each one of these glyphs are really cool because whenever you get them appraised, you can get different tiers of these other glyphs. So the unknown glyph, you can go from like these purple ones, unique, all the way up to primal. So those are really, really good for your CP progression, especially like if it's mystical and above. That's pretty nice. Even abyssals are pretty good as well. But these first ones, you can go from unique to primal. For this second one, Dark Inscribed Glyph, you can go from epic to primal. So the minimum is epic. And then for these ancient ones, the minimum is mystical, which again, mystical's it's pretty good. That's a lot of CP from those. So like just looking at my glyphs right here, just to get like an idea of like how much CP you can get, like that's 120 CP just from one glyph. Same over here, that's another 130 CP just from one glyph. Sorry, 140, my math was off there. And then yeah, etc, etc. So this is a lot of CP, especially because you can put 5 in each one of your your relics. So these are really, really important. So let's talk about a couple of ways that you can actually get these glyphs. The first way that I'm going to talk about is just going to be through boss rush. So let me double check. We're on Elion. I'm not sure if you can get them here. Yeah, you can't. So this will only be from Hadum boss rushes and onward. So if you check here, you can get these right here. So I'm not entirely sure if you like were to run and you can actually get like other things from the special chests that they give you. It might just be like these inscribed glyphs, but just be aware that you can get glyphs from boss rushes. So you're gonna want to be doing those anyways. You get pretty good resources and knowledge from them. So make sure that you do those. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was something that is kind of like a weird thing, kind of niche. I've never gotten them from here, but I just wanted to talk about it again. So if you go to Valor and then you go to Hadum, supposedly you have a chance to also get some inscribed glyphs here as well. Again, I'll be making a separate video on what this is actually used for, just because like this is really good for new players. But again, just be aware that if you were to do this, it's only like a 4-minute run and you can get inscribed glyphs. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was going to Fairy. And if you have fairy gifts enabled, or the skill for fairy gifts, so enhanced fairy gifts right here, if you have that equipped and then you go to your fairy gifts, you can actually get inscribed glyphs from tier 3 for that skill onward. So all the way up to where I have tier 6, you can be getting these inscribed glyphs. I get them pretty regularly. It's a pretty common drop from her, but you'll want this anyways, just because you can get Acrid and Chaos Jewels. So for the next thing that I wanted to talk about, we are going back to Twisted Nightmare. And again, depending on your team's performance, you can get inscribed glyphs here. So you can actually get the ancient inscribed glyphs, which is like the best type that you can get, or you can just get normal inscribed glyphs. So both are pretty good. Obviously one is better than the other, but do just be aware that you can get them in Twisted Nightmare. And then again, for the next thing, we are going to go back to our guild fortress. So let's take a look there. So while we're here, there's actually a couple of things that I want to talk about. So let's do the first one. So running over here, and you click Reclaim. So the two things that you can do here is Banquet Hall. So depending on like what tier node that you have, you'll be able to do Banquet Hall, and this is like for 1 hour every day. So if you do this, you have a chance of getting ancient inscribed glyphs, but then also if you have Outer Castle, you'll also be able to get some ancient inscribed glyphs. These are again drops from killing monsters, so it's not guaranteed, but it is a possibility. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about that's guild related was if you go into your guild, go to content, and then you do Autumok Skirmish. Depending on your team's performance, you'll be getting like different chests. So if you get 5th place, you'll get 1 ancient inscribed glyph, and then your rewards scale up all the way to, if you get 1st place, you'll get 3 ancient inscribed glyphs. So again, make sure that you are in a guild, and then if you can, try to participate in this. Even if you don't get 1st place or anything like that, that's fine. You're still getting these rewards, and the rewards themselves are pretty nice. So for the last thing that I wanted to talk about, we're pretty much just going back to the bread and butter of everything, is whenever you're killing monsters, you'll also be able to get these chests, which I had showed before. So depending on which region you're in, you'll be getting different types of chests. Some chests don't include like the ancient inscribed glyphs. It's like just the inscribed glyphs, but just be aware that whenever you're killing monsters and you're getting these chests, you'll also be able to farm these glyphs as well. So for the region that I'm in, I can get ancient inscribed glyphs and normal inscribed glyphs, so that's pretty nice. And then realistically, the first region that you're going to be farming in after your seasonal character is going to be Northeast Camisylvia. So even over here, it doesn't say it in this, it doesn't say it in this chest right here, but you'll actually be able to get those inscribed glyphs glyphs from this chest right here, which again, the loot table is not listed here, but it is on there, so that's also pretty nice. And with that being said, that's actually pretty much everything that I had for inscribed glyphs. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing, which is actually going to be alchemy stone fragments. So these right here are the alchemy stone fragments. These are pretty good. You might not like need them or be as much aware of them if like you're a newer player, just because the seasonal character like took care of a lot of the alchemy stones that you needed to make anyways. But let's go ahead and talk about the uses for them, just because you might need to craft something on your alt account or something like that. So these alchemy stones are really good, because if you go to alchemy lab, and I'm going to talk about two different like uses for them, but let's start one thing at a time. So if you go to craft, you can actually craft different alchemy stones, but the better thing to look at is synthesize. So if you click auto synthesize, what you'll want to do is basically keep only the abyssals. Everything else is kind of trash, so there's not really much use for them. And then you'll like enable auto craft, auto synthesize, and then you have a chance of getting all of these stones right here. So anything that you click or that you have check marked, you'll be sacrificing that. So if you want to keep a lucky stone, which is good for farming, make sure it's unchecked. If you want a savage stone, which is good for PvP, uncheck that. And then brave stone is more for boss content, and then enhanced stones are also pretty good for PvP and just boosting your character's stats in general. But just be aware that you'll be using these alchemy stones to craft them. So I highly encourage like setting it up the way I just showed you, with auto synthesize, do abyssal, and then like have it like this. You'll get a lot of these really good stones that you can use later on. Or another use for your alchemy stones, you can go straight to craft, and then you can go to, I believe it's under other, and then here on this first page right here, alchemy stone, if you scroll down, you can exchange your alchemy stone fragments directly for the type of alchemy stone that you want. So you can get a enhanced what are these even called? An enhanced alchemy stone chest, which are like, these are probably like the best ones that you can have, but the other more useful ones are going to be these lucky ones, the savage one, and the brave one. These are all really good just because once you have a harmony stone, you'll be able to, which I don't think everyone has a harmony stone after your seasonal character, so I'll have to talk about that like in another video. But once you have your harmony stone, you'll be able to put four different alchemy stones in here, and each one of them has different effects, but all of these effects they work together. So it's really good to have this, but basically if you want to enhance them, you'll need multiple of that same stone to enhance it. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then let's go ahead and let's talk about ways that you can actually get these alchemy stones. So the first way, which I kind of showed earlier, is by Genevieva's shop. So once again, I'll be putting that image on screen where you can get Genevieva's pouch, and then you can get anywhere between 2,000 and 50,000 alchemy stone fragments just from one pouch. So that's pretty good. And again, you're not guaranteed to get the alchemy stone. It could be between that and like Lightstone fragments or relic fragments. But again, it's a pretty good way. So with that being said, the next way that I wanted to talk about was going to be through Dispatch and then Tower of Trials. This is like a really minuscule amount, but at least it is something, and like maybe it'll add up over time. You can actually only get them from the Elion version of Tower of Trials, and it's a very small amount. But as long as you do this every day, like maybe it'll add up to something useful, maybe not, but just be aware that you can get some of them here. And then for the next way, we're gonna go look at Dispatch again, and we're going to be doing merchantry dispatch again as well. So here, if you were to dispatch your workers or your characters over here, you can also get these alchemy stone fragments. So again, it's kind of a small amount. It's not like crazy, but okay. So actually, I'm not too sure if you can get them from these chests right here. I'll have to look back at that image from whenever I open these sealed treasures, and then like I'll either include it in the video or not, but I'll look back on that. But for the next one that I wanted to talk about was going to be Ancient Ruins. Ancient Ruins, you can get them from, you can get these Alchemy Stone fragments from any difficulty of these Ancient Ruins. So you can get it from First Guardian, from First Prophet, Ancient Guardian, First Prophet, Eternal, or Chaos. So all of them have a pretty decent amount. Again, my favorite one is always First Prophet. I don't know why, but I feel like the loot from this one is just so much better than all of the other ones compared to the price of Tangled Times that you actually have to spend. So it kind of depends on how many of these ancient tablets that you have, but I think that this is probably like the best one that you can do. But with that being said, that's actually pretty much everything that I had for these Alchemy Stone fragments. Again, these are just used for crafting Alchemy Stones, and then this is going to be really useful for you whenever you're like upgrading your Alchemy Stones as well. So since we're already talking about Alchemy Stones, the next thing that I wanted to talk about was going to be Caphras Dust. So if we come down here, this is Caphras Dust right here. So these are actually used for amplifying your Alchemy Stones, which I'll just do like a quick example of that. And then let's also like take a look. What does it say for acquisition? It just says Ancient Ruins. Okay, good thing I'm going over this then. So if we go back to our Alchemy Lab, and let's say that you have like a critical enhanced stone or something, you're going to be needing this Caphras Dust to power it up. So as you can see, the highest for amplifying is going to be plus 30, and it's not a lot of CP, but something is better than nothing. But then also there's some additional rewards that you get as well. So I think it was like 1400 or 14,000 or so Caphras Dust that I needed. And then once you do this, once it's at plus 30, you can awaken this. So it costs another 30,000 dust. So this is pretty good to start off with. That's not bad at all. However, the main part where you're going to be using your Caphras Dust is whenever you take your awakened critical enhanced stone, and then what you're doing is you're trying to enhance it even more. So you'll be using that same grade or that same type of alchemy stone as a resource just to upgrade it, but then it also costs 10,000 Caphras Dust. Really quickly, I do want to talk about one more thing, which is going to be these Caphras crystals. You can actually use these Caphras crystals to replace this enhancement material instead. So just kind of keep that in mind, and then I'll go over like how you can get some Caphras crystals as well here in a second. But back to Caphras Dust, let's talk about some ways that you can actually get it. So one of the ways that you can get it is right here at Patrizio. If you go to his shop, you can actually buy this item from him. It's like it should be like a box or something. So I think I have some here in my inventory. So let's just look for them. Oh, okay, so here they are. So right here, these Caphras Dust chests. Whenever you re-roll his options of things to buy, I think he sells one at a time to you. They're pretty cheap, so I always buy them. But as you can see, for every one of those chests, you get 10,000 dust. So that's pretty good. I just got 290,000 Caphras Dust just from Patrizio's shop. I don't know how long I've been saving those, but either way, that's a pretty decent amount. So make sure that you're going to Patrizio, and then anytime he has them to offer to you, go ahead and buy them. It's definitely not a bad deal. And then as I had shown earlier, another way that you can be getting this is by, again, going to Expedition, going to Ruins, and then any one of these difficulties or these different tiers will give you Caphras Dust. Again, I'll be putting the image on screen for each one of those rewards that I had before, and then whenever I did Ancient, I was doing it a multiplier of 300. When I was doing First Prophet, I did a multiplier of 9, so that way it was basically like the same cost as Eternal. So I did the highest difficulty of Eternal, which cost me 9 tingled times. So I just did multiplier of 1 for Eternal. So that way First Prophet and Eternal, it was costing me the same amount of tingled times. And for Chaos, what I did was I did difficulty 2, which was 11 tingled times and then 10 memory shards. But I just wanted to let you know that. But all of these are pretty good. I again think that First Prophet is probably like the best one if you're just trying to get Caphras dust and most other resources. I just think it's the best bang for your buck. It does cost you the most amount of ancient tablets, but it is what it is. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, we are going to have to go back to Arena. And then we're going to go back to Raminus Arena. So whenever you do Raminus Arena, same thing as before, you're going to have these weekly reward chests. There's 5 different ones in total, but for the max prize, you'll be getting 10,000 Caphras dust. And then for these smaller prizes, you'll get 5,000 dust each. So every week in total, you'll get 30,000 Caphras dust, which it's not a crazy amount, but again, these little things, they definitely do add up. And then I believe the last thing that I wanted to talk about was going to be, oh, actually there's a couple more actually. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was going to be merchantry dispatch. And if you go dispatch your family member, you can actually get some Caphras dust from here as well. So again, just be aware of that. And then of course there's all these other rewards, but you could also just be doing like normal merchantry as well if you really want to. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, which this might actually be the last one that I was going to talk about, was going to be Great Desert. So the Great Desert is pretty good for Caphras dust. I don't think there's like a specific like you can't really farm for them, but the way that you'll be getting them is by doing these temples. So for certain temples, you'll be getting a pretty decent amount of Caphras dust. So just be aware that make sure you do your temples. You'll want to be doing these anyways. The rewards are really, really good and good for your CP. And of course, these rewards are also going to give you your Trials of a Tour passes for Ancient. So again, just make sure you do that and then do each one of these temples once you have all of these hidden quests unlocked. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, I very briefly touched on it here a second ago, but I want to come back to it really quickly. It's going to be these Caphras crystals. So again, these can be replaced for the enhancement material whenever you're enhancing your alchemy stones. So this is pretty nice. I just want to look at what it says for acquisition, which that's actually, I think that's pretty much the only way that you can get them. So this is a good list right here. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about for getting them was Twisted Nightmare. So again, depending on your team's performance, you'll be able to get some of these Caphras crystals in exchange for your performance. So make sure that you do that. Make sure you're in a guild, and then just kind of do your best to get some of these. So that's one way. And then another way is there's the new skill manufacturing, where if you go down here at the bottom, you can craft these Caphras crystals if you want. All it costs you is rugged boulder and some of these other materials. I personally don't think it's like the best item to be crafting, but if you're like really in need of these, you might as well just craft them. But again, I don't really need them. It's kind of like only if you're doing like a push for certain one of these alchemy stones. Like if I was doing a push to try to enhance my savage alchemy stone, I might want to use some of those. But something else that I kind of forgot to talk about, which give you a good amount of Caphras dust and then all these other materials, was going to be the Adventurer's Alchemy Stone Growth Support Chests. So as you can see, like there's 2 different ones, and honestly, I think I mostly get these from like actually I get these 2 different ways. One way is from like different events, so you can get a lot of these from events and like from your in-game mailbox. But another way is going to be from whenever you go to Land of the Morning Light and then you go to Black Shrine. Depending on your Black Spirit level, you might be able to get more of these, but it looks like it's a reward for both regardless. So whenever you do Black Shrine, you'll also be able to get these alchemy stone support chests, which again, these are really good for Caphras dust and then for the enhancement material. So these materials are basically the same as the Caphras crystal, except it's like you have to get one specific one, whereas the Caphras crystal can be used for any one of them. But with that being said, that's actually everything that I wanted to cover for Caphras dust and Caphras crystals. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the next. And honestly, this is going to be the last thing that I cover, just because this video has been going on for so long. I'm about halfway through anyways, so this will be part 1, and then part 2 has honestly maybe even some better items than the ones that I've listed here, but part 2 is going to have a bunch of the other materials that you're going to be needing. So let's go ahead and let's finish this up, and then I'll talk a little bit more about that here at the end. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was going to be master tier resources. So these right here, either the powder of life, strong timber, or the dark crystal ore. So these are all really, really good. You have a few uses for each one of these. The first thing that I wanted to talk about for them was, the first use for them, I guess, would be Patrigio. So you'll have to go to Patrigio, and then what you're looking at is Merchant Guild Delivery. So right here, to get the maximum rewards for Merchant Guild Delivery, you'll have to give 875 of one type of master tier resource, or 875 in total. I have a video going over Patrigio's Merchant Guild Delivery and all his rewards, but man, his rewards are really, really good. I definitely think that they're worth getting. It's good rewards every single week. Make sure that you're doing that, and again, you will need 875 total master resources for that. I'm sure you're wondering, like, well, how do I get these master resources? I'll go over that here in a second. The other use for them though is if you want treasure items, for each one of the treasure items, which I'll pull them up right here. And I'm actually going to make a video on these 3 specific treasure items just because I think that they're so good. But if you want these, I believe you need like 300 or 400 of those master tier resources just for each one of these, and it'll get you like one piece of them. I don't remember which one it is specifically, but you will need that specific type of resource for it. So if it's mining, you're going to need the ore. If it's the hoe, you're going to need the powder of life, and if it's the axe, you're going to need the lumber. So that's another use for these. You'll need them, and then once you have these specific treasures, it's going to make it a lot easier and a lot more consistent for you to actually be getting these master tier resources. But again, I'll touch on that here in a second. So the next and the last use that I wanted to talk about, we're going to go back to our guild. So let's go to the guild fortress. So here in your guild fortress, if your guild does node wars or anything like that, to strengthen your, I guess, your stuff in the node war. So you have like your barricades, you have your holy artifact, and then you have your guard towers. For each one of those, to level them up, you can get up to level 15, I think is what it is. Maybe it's 13, but levels 1 through 10, you'll be using rugged boulders, you'll be using logs, and you'll be using wild grass. But for level 10 up to the maximum level, you'll be using these master tier resources. So it'll be the lumber, it'll be the ore, and it'll be the powder of life. I'm not sure which ones you need exactly, like right off the top of my head, but just be aware that this is another place that you can be using your master tier resources. And to get them to the max level, it actually does cost a lot of these master tier resources. But of course, this is a guild activity, so if you divide up all of the costs for these materials between all of your members, it should be pretty cheap. But that's again, these are just the uses. What I wanted to talk about was actually getting them. So I'm going to go back to the other map. So you can get each one of these resources by doing their respective life skill. So if I were to go logging, I would get the lumber. If I were to be mining, I would get the ore. And if I were to be gathering, I would be getting the powder of life. So I wanted to talk about like some like quick tips for this, just because if you don't have those treasures, it's gonna be a little bit harder to get them. But first of all, I kind of wanted to talk about the requirements for actually obtaining them. So if you go to your inventory and then you go down here to the bottom left, go to my info, your life skill is one of the requirements. So for for any of these master tier resources, you need a minimum of master level for that life skill. So if I'm trying to get the Powder of Life, I need master level 1 for foraging, or if I'm trying to get the lumber, I need master level 1. Obviously mine are a bit higher, but when you start out, you're not going to have that high of a level. So just be aware that that is one of the requirements. You're not going to see these up until you get to the master level. So what I wanted to talk about was like a good place to actually level up your life skill, just so you can reach that requirement. So the place that I really like to go is Kazarka's Shrine, and it's in Serendia. So just again, if you didn't see, Serendia is right below Balanos, and then down at the bottom towards the middle is Kazarka's Shrine. So once you're here in Kazarka's Shrine, basically all you need to do is like run closer to the top of the hill. The only reason I say that is just because like that area where you spawn in, you can kind of get stuck on those fences. And then once you've gotten up here, you'll just put on auto gather. So what I like to do is gather with the little hand, because it'll do mining, it'll do logging, and it'll do foraging for you all at once. So this is like a pretty good area because it'll give you like a steady supply of XP for each one of those skills without stopping. So just keep that in mind. Again, what I would do is just do that and try to get to master level. What I also recommend using though is going to be these extra large stamina potions. A lot of people run out of stamina before, so make sure that you have those. And again, just the requirements to this, I'm going to make this in the video, the next video, but I'll just say it really quickly, was you can craft these in your alchemy lab, and all you need is like, I think it's town hall tier 7 or 8, and then alchemy lab level 13. And then all you'll have to do is set your highest dexterity workers to be making these, and it'll take a little bit less time if they have higher dexterity. But always be crafting these extra large stamina potions. They are really good and really helpful. But that's actually pretty much everything that I had to show for master tier resources. This is again like one of my favorite things, just because Patrizio, the Merchant Guild delivery, he has some of the best rewards, and that's a weekly basis, so definitely make sure that you're doing this. But I also just love life skilling in general. I obviously, like, it just does it by itself, but if you have the treasure items, it goes so fast. It's so easy to get these master tier resources. But yeah, I'm trying to get my life skill rank a little bit higher. But with that being said, that's actually going to be the end of this video. I know that I went over a lot, and I know that I have a lot more to cover, but this video was already running really long, so I didn't want to have a 4-hour long video. At least 2 hours is a little bit more manageable. So later on in this week, I'll be posting the second episode of this, or the second part to this. But again, if I missed anything, or if you have any questions, or if you need anything from me, just feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. And then again, if I miss something, I'll try to I'll collect all that information, and I'll pin a comment with everything that I had on there. So again, I'm sorry this is a really long video, but hopefully the timestamps do help you navigate to the sections that you need. But this was a tough one, especially because I recorded the video and then I had to re-record like a whole hour and a half towards the end. But you live and you learn. What are you gonna do? That's okay. Hopefully this recording didn't actually mess up too, otherwise there's gonna be a hole in my wall. But yeah, I definitely hope this does help you out, and I hope this helps newer players. I was actually looking at some content yesterday that I was kind of like, man, it's not covered by the seasonal characters, and it doesn't really give you enough educational material. So I'm going to try to cover some good content that would be useful to newer players, just because like there's a huge gap in like the learning. So we'll see what we can do there. But again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.